Conservative activist Charlie Kirk dead at the age of 31. And we're going to talk about that next on It's Culture. Let's get it.
We gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise. Yeah, that is a threat. You know that I promise to bring the team commas. When the whole team win, that's when you flex. Win. And I'ma do it again. Watch me win. Then watch me do it again. Tell 'em I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's. No.
Welcome to It's Culture Podcast. My name is Mark Stevenson. In today's episode, we're going to talk about what happened at Utah Valley University yesterday with Charlie Kirk. And if you're new to the channel, this is It's Culture Podcast with Mark Stevenson. I am the host, and I talk about everything from politics to entertainment to sports to trending topics. Why? Because I think it's all part of the culture. And if you could do me a favor, hit the like button, hit that share button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can get all the updates, especially when I post new videos. And I thank everybody for tuning in and rocking with me. Now let's get into it, guys. So yesterday, Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was fatally shot at Utah Valley University. He was speaking at his American Comeback Tour event when a single shot struck him in the neck. Authorities are calling it a political assassination. And in today's episode, we're going to cover what we know so far, the investigation and these conflicting statements that are coming out, some national reactions, but also some of the controversy around Charlie's past rhetoric, including some anti-black quotes that has raised some serious concerns. But by the end, we're going to ask ourselves, how do we balance free speech, political opposition, safety, and does violent rhetoric continue to contribute to our violent actions? So let's get into it. So what happened? Here's what the report is showing, right? So this event had about 3,000 people in attendance. It was outdoors, typically under a tent, as Charlie always does with his prove me wrong table set up. He was speaking to students, and among the topics that they were discussing were gun violence, mass shootings, and some contentious social issues. A shot came from a distance. Reports say possibly from a rooftop or a building about 200 feet away. He was hit in the neck. I'm not going to show that video. It's surfacing online. It's absolutely horrific. He was taken to the hospital, and authorities later confirmed that he was deceased. Now, security seemed to be present. There were campus police everywhere. And then there was some coordination with a private security staff that Charlie Kirk had himself. But the students reportedly were shocked by the suddenness, and it was a bunch of panic, chaos, and then you see people running away. Like I said, I'm not going to show that video. Now, there are some outstanding questions and some confusion going on because there was a older white guy that was detained. People started surfacing that he was the shooter. And it turned out that he wasn't. And I got to tell you, some of this evidence is not available yet, but here's what we know. FBI Director Kash Patel said a subject in Kirk's fatal shooting was in custody. But you had state officials like the Utah Department of Public Safety Director Bo Manson, I think that's his name. He said the suspect was still at large. A person of interest was taken into custody and later released after interrogation. And then some video footage, some of the video footage is being reviewed, and investigators are saying that the shooter was wearing some dark clothing and might have fired from a longer distance, possibly from above. They reviewing some CCTV, some webcam footage. They got some eyewitness testimony. All of that is being factored in. However, at this moment, the suspect is still at large. Also, the FBI has posted an online tip form. So if y'all know anything, they're asking for you to supply videos, photos, information, anything you can. So we have authorities saying slightly different things, but the consensus is that this was targeted, this was illogical, and the investigation is ongoing. Now, some of the national reactions to this, it was kind of different in a sense. National leaders from across the political spectrum, they spoke about it. Utah Governor Spencer Cox called this a political assassination, saying Kirk was targeted for his beliefs. Vice President J.D. Vance, President Donald Trump, and others urged prayers. Many expressed concerns over escalating polarized rhetoric. And then you had some Democratic figures, former presidents, governors, Congress members, also condemning the violence. But this tragedy has stirred fears, right? Political discourse in this country has been turning deadly for a while. It has been deadly. And I guess my question is whether words build walls or do they pave pathways to real violence? And I want y'all to ponder on that one for a minute, because it's not like Charlie Kirk was some saint in the things that he was saying, because he had a lot of phobias that he used to talk about, and he had a lot of anti-black stances that he used to talk about. And some of this stuff was about DE&I, people being qualified. And I think it's important, especially as a black man, when we talk about topics like this, because there's a lot of rhetoric going around about black folks and what we do. And they want to attribute every single thing that happens to black people to the entire race, when it's only like less than 2% of the population is actually committing crimes, but they want to put it all on black folks. And I promise you, if Charlie Kirk would have been assassinated by a black person and they would have had him in arms, it would be a race war getting ready to happen. But because they don't know who it is, and they don't know who, what we do know is Utah Valley University is predominantly white, like almost all white. I think that their population of black students is less than the 1%. So we know that this person probably was white. And now the rhetoric is this is a left versus right thing. It's not white on white crime. It's the left. The left did this. And I saw a lot of social media people, conservative, even black conservative people who were saying that the left is violent. The left is violent. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? But let's talk about some of these stances that Charlie had. His past rhetoric concerning race, and some tweets were circulating with a list of some of his quotes regarding black people. Now, I want y'all to hear some of the things that he said. Prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. That's a fact. Prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. That's a fact. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he is qualified. George Floyd was a scumbag. MLK was just a man, a very flawed one at that, and a mythological anti-racist creation of the 1960s. Now, I've seen people talk about, they're comparing this assassination of Charlie Kirk to MLK, and the guy had some real bad rhetoric when it came to MLK. The Great Replacement theory is not a theory. It's a reality. If I'm dealing with someone in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder if she's there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? There were a lot more. A lot more. I'll put a thread to the tweet in the description, because I want y'all to go to read some of these things that he said. These demeaning statements have been criticized by many as racist, inflammatory, demeaning, and contributing to environments of dehumanization and heightened tension in this country, because it is, and it keeps going on. And we see all this rhetoric. I just saw something online yesterday where there was a pastor, a quote unquote Christian pastor, right? Who is telling his congregation that, hey, you need to have conversations with your children about black people because they're violent. And like, are you serious? And I guess my question is, could rhetoric like what Charlie Kirk was spewing create climates where someone might feel justified to commit violence? I would say the answer is in the affirmative. Or do y'all think that these are simply extreme speeches protected by the First Amendment? Because that's the whole thing, is all about free speech. We should be able to say what we want to say. There shouldn't be no problems. Trump has emboldened all these things. Now, I'm not claiming that this is the direct cause of anything, because there's no proof that these quotes caused the attack. But they are part of the context. They show how someone in the public sphere has repeatedly made statements that stereotype, devalue, and provoke. And it wasn't just the anti-black ones that he said. Like I said, he's talked about Palestinians. He said things about, the LGBTQ community. He said a lot of things going around the country doing these tours where he's like debating, college students on their positions. And some people may think that that's cool, but some people also think that it is a bad thing. It is a very, very bad thing because it leads to violence. Historically, this stuff causes a lot of division. It causes a lot of division. And I for one don't believe that we could have rhetoric like this going on and expect the country to be united. I just don't, because there are a lot of people that have no empathy and no sympathy for this right now because of the language, those things that he said in the past. And I guess, looking at all these mass shootings, because there was one that went on. There was one that went on the other day. Where on school campus. It happened yesterday. And it didn't get no talk about. I guess we've gotten to the point where school shootings are just the norm in this country. We don't even talk about them no more because they happen so rapidly. But if we look at mass shootings, we look at these extremist attacks, we look at radicalized people who cite ideology, hate, and perceived grievances, who go out and commit violence against people because they have some preconceived notion. Scholars don't note that this language creates acts in a vacuum, but it does shape the perception and build narratives. And I think that also can be polarizing, because you never know what somebody's comments will say to, how somebody takes somebody's comments. Because, especially in social media, where everybody has a microphone and everybody's talking and everybody becomes influencers, in a sense, people are taking what you're saying as true. They're taking it as factual, and they come out and they start regurgitating the stuff that you're saying. This is not about saying every hateful statement leads to shootings, because it doesn't. But whether repeated demeaning, incendiary language contributes to a culture where violence is more thinkable. In this case, Kirk's public remarks add to the complexity. He's been embraced by many in the conservative youth activism space. His influence means that he resonates. He resonates with a lot of people. But on the flip side, free speech is a core value, though. And there's a real tension there. How do we protect free speech, ensure safety, and discourage dehumanizing rhetoric without it censorship? It's a fine line. It is a very, very fine line with this, because we have this cancel culture that's supposed to cancel out stuff. And the right has been anti-cancel culture for a while. They think that everything should be free speech. But where is that line drawn between what is considered free speech and what is considered dehumanizing and dangerous? I don't know. I struggle with this one because I believe in the free speech. Being a veteran of the U.S. Navy, retiree, 20 years, I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the right to free speech. I believe in the right to bear arms. I believe in the freedom of religion, freedom of the press. I take the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, I take it all to heart. But I also realize that some of the things that you can say, some of the things that you can do behind a microphone and a camera could cause other people to commit or get the notion to commit violence or go do something to hurt somebody. And I think that's where we have to be very, very cautious in what we say, how we address things, and how we think about things. Because, like I said earlier, there are a lot of people that don't care that Charlie Kirk got killed. There are people out celebrating that he died. Now, I'm not going that far because I was raised to respect the dead. And, but I'm not going to say that, his death is like touching my soul or anything. I'm not going to say that. But I will say this, moving forward, right? As this investigation comes out, I guess we're going to find out a couple of things. Really, who is really behind the shooting? Will there be some DNA, some video, or eyewitness evidence to lead to a clear suspect, right? That's what we're looking for. Legal implications. Is this a hate crime or a political assassination ruling? Donald Trump thinks it is. The president thinks it is. He lowered the flags to half-mast. I've never seen flags be lowered half-mast for just a regular citizen. It wasn't like he was a politician. Wasn't some prominent military figure or anything. He just happened to be a right-wing activist. But I guess, when you have a sitting legislator like the House Speaker Hortman in Minnesota, when she got assassinated, Trump didn't come out and say anything. But last night he decided that he was going to address the nation about this. I didn't watch it. Didn't really care to watch it because I'm like, what are we doing here? We lowering the flags to half-mast for a rando who happened to just be on college campuses talking. I've never seen it done before in my life. But that just lets you know the climate, because Trump was blaming the left as well, blaming Democrats. They don't know if this guy, we don't know nothing about the person that shot Charlie Kirk, but as soon as it happened, they knew that the guy wasn't black. They knew that. So they had to come up with the left versus right angle, Would there be any laws to kind of treat this, right? Like, what kind of charges is going to be brought up in this? Like I said, is this a hate crime or just a random act of violence? This is just white on white crime, right? And then we got to think about like campuses and policies and safety, because there's a lot of people that go do these little debate me things on college campuses. It seems like it's the new wave. Go on college campuses and harass college students with your rhetoric and try to get them to debate you, knowing that you probably going to be talking about something that's way over their head, and try to belittle them and make them look bad on camera. Will colleges reevaluate whether or not they want to have controversial speakers come to the campuses? Would there be better security checks, metal detectors, threat assessments? Will there be like extra heightened security around a campus when somebody like a Charlie Kirk comes on campus? But also, is there any accountability in speech? Would there be more pressure on the public figures to to kind of tone down the rhetoric a little bit or own their past statements? What about social media? Like, because it amplifies, inflammatory speech all the time. Elon Musk does it all the time with his platform. He allows it to be utilized as a cesspool for the most hatred and vitriolic things to be said. X is nothing like Twitter was. But he believes in free speech, right? But people can come on there and say some of the most racist and most demeaning and dehumanizing stuff, and there's no problem with it. You flag it, report it, nothing happens. Even got Grok doing it. So, in this regard, it's just one more act of violence that happens. White on white crime is never talked about. They always want to bring up the statistics. Charlie Kirk did it himself. We always want to bring up the black violence, black crime, but we never talk about white on white crime. We never talk about it. So I guess my question to you all tonight is, where do we go from here? What are y'all thoughts on this assassination of Charlie Kirk? Do you care? Do you get thoughts and prayers? Like, I love to hear your comments on this. Put them in the chat. And until next time, Culture Nation, let's keep it culture.